Assalamu alaikum. This is lecture 12 of Information and Communication Technologies, and in this lecture we will get acquainted with the introduction of embedded and real-time systems. So here are the lecture contents. In this lecture I will discuss briefly what are the embedded systems and how they interact with human life, and vice versa, how the human life is dependent on these embedded systems. There are two critical components of embedded systems, and the most important is a microcontroller, which is used to program and control the operation of any embedded and real-time systems. So there are several types of embedded systems. We will discuss briefly about these types, and finally I will give a brief overview that helps you to understand how embedded systems are programmed. So let's get down and dive right into it. Embedded systems are usually a microcontroller or a microprocessor based system that does not look like a computer. So these are similar to the computer, but usually they do not behave and operate like computers, and a combination of computer hardware and a software, and perhaps additional mechanical or other parts are also included in embedded systems, and these are designed to perform a dedicated function. On the other hand, computers are designed to perform a generic set of functions. So in some cases, embedded systems are part of a larger system or a product, as in the case of anti-lock braking system in a car, which is a subsystem of a computer controlled car. So if you look at more description, an embedded system is a special purpose computer system designed to perform certain dedicated functions. It is usually embedded as a part of a complete device, including hardware and mechanical parts. So these are usually small footprints which are located in memory, and they have usually a highly optimized code which runs very fast. So due to their size and compact, low cost and simple design aspects made embedded systems very popular and encroached into human lives and have become indispensable. These are found everywhere from kitchen accessories to the spacecraft missions. So there are wide-ranging applications of embedded systems, and you have seen embedded systems employed in your daily life. So these embedded systems target all aspects of modern life, and there are many examples of their use. For example, if you look at the medical implementations, there are many instruments which deal and contain embedded systems. So if you have to go to a medical institute for some diagnosis, you will see many devices which take tests of the patients, have some predefined dedicated functions assigned to them to perform that specific task. So you can see there are many ECG recorders, blood cell recorders, patient monitor systems, which all contain some form of embedded system. You can also see these in the communication systems, such as you have a popular device such as cellular phones. In the previous version, people had the pagers, which used to communicate through some beeps and text messages. You can see you have cable TV terminals, fax machines, transceivers, video games, and so on. Embedded systems are also part of peripheral controllers of computers, such as keyboard controller, DRAM controller, DMA controller, printer controller, LAN controller, disk controller, etc. These are quite prevalently used in industrial instrumentation as well. You can see there are many factories and industries which are automated, and they have automated machinery to control the processes and the products. So they have process controllers, they have many DC motor controllers, robotic systems, computers, network computation, machine controllers, closed loop engine controllers, industrial master recorder, and controller. So you can also see there are many digital storage systems, CRT displays controllers, and spectrum analyzers, which are some of the uses of embedded systems in scientific domains. So here is the graphical representation that you can see embedded systems are quite in our daily life, and we are very much dependent to perform many tasks due to these embedded systems. So as I have mentioned earlier, microcontroller is the most cardinal part of embedded systems. So a microcontroller is usually a single silicon chip with memory and input-output devices placed on it. Therefore, a microcontroller is also popularly known as a single chip computer, and usually it can perform and have following features. So it can perform arithmetic and logical unit operations. It may have some memory to store program. It may have some memory to have some storage for permanent data and programs. It can have RAM for storing variables and special function registers, input and output devices. It may have some timers and counters to control the execution. It may have some conversion mechanism from digital to analog and analog to digital. It may have some circuits for reset, power off, serial programming, and debugging, instruction decoder and timing control units, and some serial communication ports for. So here is a family of microcontrollers which are quite widely used in devices and other appliances such as instruments. So you can classify microcontrollers on a different types such as the amount of bits it can process, the level of memory devices, the instruction set, and the memory architecture. There are different families of microcontrollers which are widely used across different manufacturers, and some of the common structures are from 8 to 32-bit microcontroller processors. You can have some IC chips or very large scale integrated chips. You can have embedded memory, or you can have some external memory which is attached to the microcontrollers. You can have different subsets of instruction sets such as RISC or CISC. You can have different memory architectures. For the family, you can see these are the highly available companies which produce the microcontrollers. Motorola is one of the examples. Hitachi is another known example. You can see there are many microcontrollers with the ARM chips. Intel is also a family of 8051, which is one of the most known microcontrollers in many devices. Now you can see the memory devices and microcontrollers with the Philips Technologies, Atmel, and Siemens. So if you look inside the embedded system, a microcontroller is just one part of it, and you can have multiple parts which help you to control the surroundings of your microcontroller. So embedded system contains custom built hardware around a CPU, which is usually a microcontroller, and it also contains some memory chips onto which the software called firmware is loaded. Most of the embedded system usually have the operating system which runs above the hardware, and the application software runs above the operating system, which is similar to any other computer. However, it is not compulsory for the embedded systems to have an operating system, and small appliances such as remote control units, air conditioners, toys, etc. do not need the operating system. So for applications involving complex processing, it is advisable to have an operating system. So there is need to integrate the application software with the operating system and then transfer the entire software onto the memory chip. So once the software is transferred to the memory chip, the software will continue to run for a long time, and you do not need to reload the new software. So here is typical architecture of a hardware requirements for embedded system. So you can see there are many similarities with the normal computers. So there are few differences, such as you can see we have an application specific circuit rather than a general computer which have a general circuit which help you to perform a wide range of tasks. Embedded system will perform a specific task. So we have the CPU unit, we have input devices, output devices, read-only memory, and random access memory. And to access this uh, embedded system from another devices, we usually have some communication interfaces. So as it has been repeated, microprocessors designed in the embedded systems are programmed to do a very specific task. So they are unable to perform general set of things. So usually they have very limited resources such as a small memory, and generally there is no secondary storage. So you have to work against some deadlines in embedded system. Job has to be completed within a specific time. In real-time systems, the deadlines are stringent. Missing a deadline may cause a catastrophe, so loss of life or damage to the property. So on a smaller scale, you would like to have your embedded system programmed and controlled by a remote within a specific set of time. So at the larger level, you would like to have your mission critical system to perform operations in a deadline stringent environment. So these embedded systems are also constrained for power and operate through a battery. Therefore, you would like to have an embedded system which consumes less amount of energy and runs longer on a battery. So embedded system need to be highly reliable. Sometimes you cannot afford to reset your embedded system. For example, if you have an embedded system installed on an aircraft and at the height of 32,000 feet, your embedded system will not be able to afford resetting of your program. So some have to operate in extreme environmental conditions such as in extreme heats or in extreme cold temperatures. So you have to design embedded systems in such materials that are able to bear the extreme temperatures. So most have to be cost effective, and reduction of 10 rupees is a lot of cost saving because there are thousands and millions of systems may be sold, and saving 10 rupees on each may result in a significant reduction. So there is a wide variety of processors and operating system for the embedded system, so the choosing the right platform is the most complex task. So next is the classification of embedded systems. Embedded systems are classified into four different dimensions. So these dimensions are based on functionality and performance requirements. So some embedded systems are stand-alone embedded systems. Some have to perform some real-time operations. So these are real-time embedded systems. Some have to perform operations on a network. So these are networked information appliances, and most commonly some are mobile devices which exist and uh, operate remotely. So standalone embedded system, as the name suggests, will work in a standalone mode. So they take the input, process them, and produce the desired output. The input can be an electrical signal from a transducer or commands from human beings such as the pressing of a button. So the simple example is the output can be electric signals to derive another system. So it can be an LED display or an LCD display for displaying information to the users. So embedded system used in the process control, automobiles, consumer electronics items fall into this category. Another type is the real-time system. So, So some specific work has to be done in a specific time period. Therefore, these are constrained to real-time systems. For example, consider a system that has to open a valve within 30 milliseconds when the humidity crosses a particular threshold. So if the valve is not opened within 30 milliseconds, a catastrophe may occur. So real-time characteristics put certain constraints on to the embedded systems. So real-time systems has to respond to events in a certain premeditated amount of time. So the time constraint has to be considered during the planning, design, and implementation and testing phases of your embedded system. So internal failures due to software and hardware fault have to be handled in a satisfactory manner. So you cannot simply pop up a dialog box or error message say send report or do not send report. You have to have some proper mechanism to cater the failures, and also external failures due to the outside sources need to be handled carefully. So typical interaction in a real-time system is usually asynchronous. Therefore, a real-time system should have features to handle asynchronous events such as interrupt handlers and dispatchers and associated resources. Real-time systems usually have potential for race conditions. When a state of resources are timing dependent, race condition may occur and your microcontroller will like to access certain resources which may be occupied by some another microcontroller. So the periodic tasks are common in real-time systems. So there are several examples, and similarly one of the common example is a digital camera, uh, which takes sets of input including sensors and imaging devices producing control signals and display information. So the time between presentation of a set of inputs to a system and the realization of the required behavior including the availability of all associated outputs is called response time of the real-time systems. The real-time system is the one in which logical correctness is based on both the correctness of output as well as their timeliness. So you can have different set of requirements. One of the requirement is a soft real-time requirement, which is the one which performance is degraded by failure to meet the response time constraint. On the other hand, the hard time system is the one which failures to meet a single deadline may lead to some complete or catastrophic failure. So there are many examples such as in automated teller you have a soft system requirement. If your operation is delayed, you may not have to worry much. In a robot vacuum cleaner, you may have slightly firm system requirement. So you would like to perform your task in specified time, and in some cases, or if you rarely miss some deadlines, it will not be a bigger problem. But in a more critical system such as a missile delivery system, you would like to have a hard real-time system which has to meet the deadline, otherwise it can result in a big catastrophe. The third type of embedded system is a networked information appliances. So these are provided with the network interfaces and accessed by the network such as LAN or the internet. So such embedded systems are connected to a network, typically a network running TCP/IP protocol suite. A network process control system consists of number of embedded systems connected to a LAN. Each embedded system can send real-time data to the central location from where the entire process control can be monitored. So a typical example is a web camera that can be connected to the internet. The web camera can send the pictures in real time to any computer connected to the internet. So the door lock of your home can be a small embedded system with TCP/IP and HTTP server software running on it. So when a children stand in front of the door lock and after they return from the school, the web camera in the door lock will send an alert to you over the internet, so you can open the lock by click through an application. The final type is the mobile device embedded systems. Mobile devices such as mobile phones, personal digital assistants, phones, etc. are special category of embedded systems. So the PDAs do not do many general purpose tasks. They need to be designed just like the conventional embedded systems. So the limitations of the mobile systems, memory constraints, small size, lack of good user interfaces such as full-fledged keyboard and display, etc. Hence, mobile devices are considered embedded systems. However, PDAs are now capable of supporting general-purpose applications, software such as word processors, games, etc. And smartphones contain many information and other processing of general category tasks. Therefore, they deviate from the definitions of embedded systems. So our final topic of this lecture is to get the understanding of programming embedded systems. So historically, assembly language was the pioneer for programming embedded systems till recently. Nowadays, there are many more languages to program these systems. So the presence of tools to model the software in UML, software development lifecycle, is sufficient to indicate the maturity of embedded software programming. And the majority of software for embedded systems are still done in C language. So recently, survey indicates that approximately 45% of embedded software are still being done in the C language. So C is very close to the assembly programming, and it allows very easy access to the underlying hardware, and a huge number of high quality compilers and debugging tools are available for the C programming language. So C language can definitely claim to be have more mature compilers than C++. Now, in order to avail the extra benefits of C++ and the plus to avoid buggy execution, experts are doing efforts to identify a subset of C++ that can be used to embedded systems, and this subset is called embedded C++. So there are several interfaces and components which are part of the embedded system and which may need to be programmed. For embedded systems to interact with the external world, a number of communication interfaces are available. So there are usually serial communication interfaces, synchronous serial communication interfaces. They can have some USB ports, or they may connect to some network using Ethernet or LAN controllers. They can have some typers, timers, discrete I/O, input-output devices, and analog to digital converters. So to understand the design of a simple embedded system, let us first consider the idea of data acquisition system. A data acquisition system is a system that helps to collect data from a real phenomena. So to design such a system, you have to install some sensors so they can capture the information from the real world. So this information is transferred to a transducer which can transfer the information to an analog to digital converter. So analog to digital converter converts the information which was recorded from the real phenomena to a digital form which can be processed to the microcontroller. So this information is fed to a processor which converts this information to some meaningful results. So these results are again transferred to digital from digital to analog information, which can result in some output to the environment. So for example, you can consider a simple case of temperature measurement embedded system. So first you have to select a temperature sensor like a thermistor. It can have any model such as placed here 18590, LM35, etc. So after this you have the analog data which should be converted into digital data. At the same time, proper signal conditioning is done. So this digital input is then fed to microcontroller through its ports. and by developing a suitable program in embedded C or assembly, the data is processed and controlled. So for this purpose, there are several tools such as Scale or Write, which are used for as a workbench for C compilers, and once the program is debugged and found error-free, it can be dumped into the microcontroller flash memory using some ISP. So Philips is some of the common memory which uses the flash magic or any other ISP. So now your microcontroller chip acts as embedded chip. So use of the embedded system and real-time applications have been on the rise, and as you can see, a global embedded system market from 2003 to 2009 is described in dollars millions. So you can see the rate of increase in embedded systems in these 6 years. So this rate has been gradually increasing since then. So here are some of the common domains where embedded systems are used quite prominently, and you can see these are used in displays and in navigation systems, games and simulators, robotic surgeries, remote surgeries and medical imaging, assembly lines, automated inspections, elevator control, automated system, and GPS. So this concludes a brief description about the embedded system, and if you want to explore more about the topics, you can go through the recommended books or you can search online sources. Apart from that, if you have any question, feel free to ask me. Thank you very much.